Tom Brady, Bill Belichick is the GOAT. You've got all this stuff going on, and you can absorb somebody, just one, maybe two of those type of guys, because your culture is so strong. I don't think that the culture is right there yet to invite in a bunch of people who are mercenaries, because that is all it is. Caden Green, like what happened, don't like what happened, he was a mercenary. You hear, we'll talk about it a little bit later, Proctor. Same situation is when some of these people, and you hear about the I can't remember what is the Players podcast where they say, like, if you want to get paid,
on the Prairie,
podcast on the Prairie. If you want to get paid, go to the portal, because people are willing to champ out. Now, we've seen it go sideways at Miami. We've seen it go sideways at A&M. Now Ole Miss is going to F around and find out. So I'll say this is, when you have all these situations, you look at a Quinshon Judkins, maybe the best running back in the SEC, and he heads out and he goes to the Big Ten, to Ohio State. You can't bring in all these people with all this money and then not have people on your team go, I mean, I could just put my name out there a little bit and kind of see what happens, right? And so that is going to happen, and I've made mention of it in the past, but you have a guy, so a linebacker hits the portal, and he is a dude. He is great. Or let's whoop the safety out of Clemson. Ended up committing to Muka. So everybody was like, "Oh, Brent Venables guy, he's a big safety. Let's roll. Let's bring him in." How does that affect
Andrew Makuba?
Yeah, Andrew Makuba. So how does that affect Peyton Bowen, Billy Bowman, Robert Spears Jennings, Jaden Rowe, all these safety kids coming in, and then a Jonah Williams potentially for 25? Like, how does that affect all of that when you're bringing that in? Because as a player, you're thinking like, man, I could be like on the verge of becoming a starter as a freshman or as a sophomore, and then all of a sudden you've got that doubt coming in, because you're like, what happens if like second team All-American from another, from Kansas State or something hits the portal? Like, are they going to slide him in front of me? Because most of these guys aren't afraid of competition, but I think they want an even playing field. And as a player, let's go with Peyton Bowen, is Peyton sees there Makuba potentially coming in. He slides in. He all of a sudden has to split some snaps. Yeah. So what would you as a fan go, listen, I'll take Makuba and let Peyton go mess around in the portal? Hell no. None of us want that. None of us want that. So when you see the Herd kid, he's looking for cheddar. And when you're trying to find the offensive line, I don't think we're one bookend away from this offensive line being studs. And if you bring one guy in and he doesn't work out, now everybody's being like, well, I mean, shit, you brought that guy in, gave him almost $1 million, and Punk's not even like busting it on the practice field right now. So I'm just, I don't know.
So I don't want to go that far on it or whatnot, but I do want to say this though, to add to that. Like a player like Herd's legit, right? He's at LSU. He wasn't cracking that starting job. Obviously, hence why he left. It wasn't more. I don't think he left for money from LSU. I think he wanted to play. But once you hit that portal, you chase the money, because it makes no sense for you to go out there and undersell yourself, right? So think about it this way: who has an opening at the left tackle position? Think about it. We don't. Sexton's got that one. Sexton has got that left tackle spot because he's been playing it. He's played well when he's been in the game, replacing Tyler Guyton at the right side, but he's going to move over to the left because he's going to play on the blind side of the quarterback, which is what they got him for. Sexton didn't, and for those that didn't know this, Sexton didn't play the first 7 games of the season. The reason why we went after Walter Rouse, excuse me, I couldn't get it out. The reason why we went after Walter Rouse and we got him to flip from Nebraska and paid him was because Sexton tore his ACL in the bowl game. But that was your starting left tackle.
Yesterday.
Yeah,
a year ago yesterday.
A year ago yesterday. Go look at his social media.
When he had surgery.
On Twitter not too long ago. He had surgery a year ago yesterday, but he tore his ACL in the Cheez-It Bowl. But that was your starting left tackle. He was a freshman at that point. He was going to actually start at left with Guyton And because of that injury, you need an additional depth. So you went and got yourself a veteran. You went and got that. But this is the thing I'm thinking about. Sexton's going to be your left. Jake Taylor's going to be right there next to him. You bring in a Spencer Brown to compete with Taylor because Taylor can probably end up taking that right tackle spot and Spencer Brown being behind him. Because I think the Jakes are probably going to be your bookends. When you go in between, you got a lot of players. We got a lot of players on this line that this staff really likes. They brought in Fabici because he's a freshman All-American. We lost Caden, so we need to bring in a replacement for him. Fabici was a freshman All-American, guys. And Seth Luttrell really likes him. That tells you something.
Yeah.
That's something I want y'all to ponder on when we have these conversations about particular players, because I'll say this, and Chuck, you made this great point for me right here before we try to move ourselves on, because I don't want these to be too long-winded of monologues. I want us to be back and forth again. That's my fault. I take blame for this. You want players that want to compete for spots. A lot of these dudes hitting the portal ain't here to compete. They here for you to tell them they're going to start. Why would you hit the portal when you can compete where you're staying at, right?